Hey ladies and gentlemen, Wolfgrier here, back at it again with more updates for patch 2.6.1. And it seems that Blizzard has reloaded the buff train and wheeled that right in for more buffs to this patch, which is unbelievable. This patch was already chock full of buffs, and recently, as of yesterday, they've increased some of those items. So let's dive right in. Barbarian, Band of Might. Now that damage reduction went from 50 to 60% up to 60 to 80%. Reduced damage for 8 seconds after casting Furious Charge, Ground Stomp, or Leap. And Bracers of the First Men. Hammer of the Ancients now attacks 50% faster and deals 400 to 500% increased damage. Now this is the third time that has been buffed with this patch. And to top it off for Hammer of the Ancients, Gavel of Judgement got yet another buff as well. And now the damage of Hammer of the Ancients is increased by 600 to 800%. That is crazy. Initially, that was 400 to 500% with the buff, and now it's 600 to 800%. Think they're really trying to make Hammer of the Ancients viable, which is pretty epic because it has been a long time since this build was useful whatsoever. So it's definitely good to see Blizz pumping out even more buffs to balance this game, which is what I like about this so far. I don't find it power creep whatsoever. If you are buffing up invalid builds to the point where they can compete with current builds and not shooting right past them, then you are definitely creating some type of balance, which is something that this game has needed for a long time. So let's take a look at the Crusader update as well. And for Crusader, Fate of Fel, Heaven's Fury, gains 2 additional rays and has its damage increased by 375 to 500%. This is up from its initial buff of 150 to 200%. And Golden Flense, Sweep Attack restores 6 Wrath for each enemy hit and has its damage increased by 225 to 300%. So now Sweep Attack also got a buff in patch 2.6.1. Pretty epic times, guys. Over on Demon Hunter, we're looking at Embodiment of the Marauder. 4-piece set, that kind of got nerfed. So now your sentries deal 100% instead of 400% increased damage. But the 6-piece got buffed yet again. So now your primary skills, Elemental Arrow, Chakram, Impale, Multi-Shot, Cluster Arrow, Companions, and Vengeance now deal 2400% increased damage for every active sentry. Initially that was 1200, they bumped it up to 2100, and now it sits at 2400% for the Marauder set. Pretty beast mode with the buffs, Blizzard. I'm loving it. And over on Monk, Shenlongs got a buff. So I initially thought with these buffs in patch 2.6.1 that the generator builds were dead in the water. Not true, because Shenlongs got buffed as well, and the damage of your spirit generators is increased by 2% for each point of spirit you have, up from 1.5. And when you reach max spirit, now it deals 200% damage to everything, instead of that initial 150% damage bonus. So Shenlongs got a buff, so generator builds are not dead. They now can compete with the rest of the builds for the Monk, which is absolutely awesome, because even though I don't like Raiment generator build, a lot of people do, and now it's definitely comparable to both Uliana's and Wave of Light and everything else in his EP, in his gen, Raiment gen. They all are viable in Season 12 with patch 2.6.1, and me as a Monk main, I'm definitely loving this. Now for the Necromancer, Pestilence, 4-piece set bonus. Each enemy you hit with Bone Spear, Corpse Lance, or Corpse Explosion reduces your damage by 2% up to 50%. Now initially this used to just work with the skill for Bone Spear. So this adds a new layer to the Pestilence set because now you don't even need Bone Spear on your build whatsoever because you now get that damage reduction from your Corpse Lance and your Corpse Explosion as well. And with that 6-piece buff to the damage of Corpse Lance and Corpse Explosion, you don't even need Bone Spear anymore. I mean, it's definitely still a useful skill with this build because it gets a better damage bonus, but you can opt to do something else with it instead now. And it makes for very, very cool farming builds, that is for sure. And it's still looking like this is one of the better RG killers with that Corpse Lance version. So who knows where that RG killer is going to go come Season 12. I don't even know what the meta is going to be yet. I'm still trying to figure out like each individual class and the effects that this massive buff patch 2.6.1 is going to have on each individual class, much less the group meta. Then over on Witch Doctor, her raiment of the Jade Harvester just got a defensive buff. For the 6-piece set bonus now, Soul Harvest reduces the damage taken by 50% for 12 seconds. Very, very cool indeed. And for the Wizard, Halo of Karini also got a damage mitigation buff. You take 60 to 80% less damage for 4 seconds after your storm armor electrocutes an enemy 15 yards away or further. So this is a definite buff for this. Initially it was 45 to 60% and it had to be at least 30 yards away. So big buff for Halo of Karini. And also for the Wizard, Veer's 6-piece set bonus, that got buffed to a 25% damage bonus instead of that 18% damage bonus that it had. And Chantoto's Resolve, that got buffed to 1,000% weapon damage to enemies within 30 yards instead of the initial buff of 600% and its initial value, the first one, at 350%. So big buffs for Chantoto's, for Veer's 6-piece, and for Halo of Karini. And over on Adventure Mode, they buffed the experience granted to you by Smoldering Constructs and Blazing Constructs. Pretty cool, considering those guys are assholes in a rift. They might as well give you more XP, and now they do. It's almost like Blizzard almost listened to me there, because I've been complaining about that for the last 2 or 3 seasons, that these things deal way too much damage for the amount of XP that they are worth. Almost worth canceling a rift entirely if these guys show up, but now they're worth more XP, so maybe you'll stick around, fight it out. Plus all the survivability buffs coming in patch 2.6.1. About time. Guys, I am definitely loving these patch notes. I am definitely loving this whole buff party thrown by Blizzard for patch 2.6.1. Season 12 is definitely looking fun. I'm definitely looking forward to all the different viable builds come Season 12. Guys, thank you so very much for checking out this video, taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And guys, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys have a great day. Peace.